The sky above New Haven burned. Streaks of crimson plasma rained down, scorching the earth and reducing buildings to rubble. The air smelled of smoke and burning metal. Ethan Cole ducked behind a shattered wall, his rifle clenched in both hands. Around him, the colony's defenders, outnumbered and outgunned, fought to hold the line against the Vryn. The aliens were relentless. Dozens of reptilian soldiers, their scales glinting like polished obsidian, advanced with mechanical precision. Their weapons spat energy bolts that tore through concrete and flesh alike. Ethan's team had already lost 3 people. Not today, he thought. Not like this. Fall back to the med bay, shouted Captain Maria Reyes, her voice cutting through the chaos. She fired a grenade launcher, sending a Vryn squad scrambling. Sarah, get those civilians underground. Dr. Sarah Lynn, her white coat stained with blood, nodded. She herded a group of terrified colonists toward a bunker, her medical kit slung over one shoulder. Ethan watched them go, his jaw tight. Every instinct screamed at him to follow, to protect them, but the Vryn were closing in. A blast shook the ground. Ethan's leg erupted in pain. He collapsed, his vision blurring as he clutched at his thigh. Blood seeped through his fingers. A direct hit. Ethan. Maria sprinted toward him, firing blindly to cover their retreat. Move, damn it. He tried to stand, but his leg buckled. The Vryn commander, a towering alien with jagged spines running down his skull, roared orders in a guttural tongue. The soldiers halted, their weapons trained on Ethan. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then the commander, Zincare, stepped forward. His slit-pupiled eyes locked onto Ethan. A strange sound hummed through the air, like a machine powering down. Ethan gritted his teeth. "What are you waiting for?" he spat. Zincare tilted his head, studying him. Then, to Ethan's shock, the Vryn raised a clawed hand. The army paused. Maria grabbed Ethan's arm, dragging him toward cover. "This isn't over," she hissed. But as they retreated, Ethan saw it. The Vryn weren't attacking. They stood motionless, their weapons lowered. Why? The question burned in his mind as darkness edged his vision. His leg throbbed. Above, the warships still hovered, their cannons silent. For the first time in weeks, the colony held its breath. Ethan didn't know it yet, but his broken leg had just rewritten the rules of the war. Ethan woke to the smell of antiseptic and burnt flesh. His leg felt like it was on fire. Blinking against the harsh light of the med bay, he saw Dr. Sarah Lynn stitching his thigh with trembling hands. Maria stood nearby, reloading her rifle. "You're lucky," Sarah muttered. "Another inch, and you'd be." "Dead," Ethan finished. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through him. "What's happening out there?" Maria's face was grim. The Vryn stopped. "They just stood down after you went down." Ethan frowned. "Stopped? Why?" Before she could answer, an alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Sarah cursed. "They're scanning the bunker. They know we're here." Ethan gripped the edge of the cot, then moved the civilians. "Now." "We can't," Maria said. "The tunnels are collapsed. We're trapped." A deep, resonant hum filled the air. The walls shook. Through a cracked viewport, Ethan saw Zinkar's warship descending, its shadow swallowing the colony. A voice boomed over the comms, a distorted mix of clicks and growls, then a translated message. "Surrender the wounded human. Spare your people." Sarah paled. "They want you." Ethan's mind raced. The Vryn had never bargained before. Why now? He glanced at his leg, bandaged but still bleeding. "What if I say yes?" Maria slammed her fist on the wall. "No. They'll kill you." "Maybe not." Ethan said slowly. They had their chance back there, but they hesitated. Zinkar's voice echoed again, colder this time. Comply, or we burn this place to ash. Ethan stood, ignoring the pain. He grabbed a rifle. Get everyone into the maintenance tunnels. I'll buy you time. Sarah grabbed his arm. You'll die. Better than letting them take you all. He limped toward the door. But Maria blocked his path. This isn't just about courage, Ethan. There's something wrong here. They're scared of you. As if on cue, the warship's engines cut. Silence fell. Then a single Vryn soldier marched into the med bay, unarmed. It gestured to Ethan, its claws open in a sign of peace. Or a trap. Ethan glanced at Maria. She nodded. We follow. But if this goes south, I'm putting a bullet in Zincare myself. Outside, the colony was eerily still. Vryn soldiers lined the streets, weapons lowered. Zincare stood waiting, his spines twitching. He studied Ethan's leg, then spoke in broken English. You bleed. You endure. You matter. Ethan didn't flinch. What do you want? The alien's eyes glowed faintly. Your cane, it sings. Ethan woke strapped to a cold metal table. The hum of the Vryn warship vibrated in his bones. His leg throbbed, but the pain was dull now, numbed by whatever drugs the aliens had pumped into him. Bright lights blinded him, and the smell of ozone stung his nose. Zincare loomed over him, clutching a jagged device that pulsed with blue light. Behind the alien, a hologram flickered, a twisted helix of glowing symbols. Ethan's DNA. Your blood sings, Zincare hissed. The fracture, it awakened something. Ethan strained against the restraints. What are you talking about? The alien ignored him, barking orders to a subordinate. A screen lit up, showing a scan of Ethan's leg. A cluster of glowing nodes pulsed near the break. Zinkar's spines twitched, a sign of agitation. The child of the stars, he muttered. The prophecy was true. Ethan's mind raced. Child of the stars. The word stirred a memory, his sister Leela, whispering about ancient human myths before the Vryn killed her. He pushed the thought away. If you're gonna kill me, do it. Zincare leaned closer, his breath hot and metallic. You misunderstand. You are not our enemy. You are our reckoning. Below the ship, New Haven's survivors huddled in the tunnels. Maria paced, her rifle slung over her shoulder. Sarah sat by a flickering terminal, hacking into Vryn frequencies. They're not firing, Sarah said. Why? Maria's eyes narrowed. Because Ethan's up there. Whatever they want, it's about him. Sarah's fingers froze. Listen. The comms crackled. A Vryn transmission, translated by the colony's AI. Genetic anomaly confirmed. The sleeper awakens. Commence Phase 2. Maria swore. Phase 2. What the hell does that mean? Before Sarah could answer, the warship shuddered. A beam of light shot from its hull, striking the colony's central spire. But instead of exploding, the spire glowed, a soft golden pulse that spread across the ruins. And the Vryn changed. Soldiers staggered, clutching their heads. Their weapons dimmed. One by one, they dropped to their knees, scales fading to gray. On the ship, Zincare roared. It is done. The signal spreads. Ethan's restraints snapped open. He slid off the table, his leg buckling. What did you do to me? Zinkar's voice was almost reverent. We did nothing. You are the song that breaks chains. The Vryn will know fear now. Ethan didn't wait for more. He limped toward the exit, Zincare's laughter echoing behind high. Ethan limped into the bunker, his leg dragging. Maria and Sarah rushed to meet him, their faces a mix of relief and fury. Are you insane? Maria hissed, walking out there alone. I'm fine, Ethan snapped, though his legs screamed otherwise. He glanced at the Vryn warship, still hovering ominously. They didn't touch me. Sarah scanned his leg with a handheld device. Her eyes widened. Your bone, it's healing. Faster than humanly possible. Before Ethan could respond, Zinker's voice boomed over the comms. Humans, we offer terms. The bunker fell silent. Maria activated the speaker. What do you want? The child of the stars will join us, train with our scholars, master his power. In exchange, we spare your colony. Ethan stiffened. And if we refuse? The transmission crackled. Then New Haven burns. Choose. Maria glared at the ceiling. This is a trick. They've never bargained before. Maybe, Ethan said. But why now? Why me? Sarah stepped forward. What if it's true? What if he can stop them? Ethan's leg twitched, sending a spike of pain through him. He gasped, and the lights in the bunker flickered. Maria stared. Did you? I don't know, Ethan muttered. Zinkar's voice returned. Proof. You demand proof. A hologram flared to life, showing a Vryn warship. Inside, a recording played. Ethan's scream from the ambush, raw and agonized. The ship's crew collapsed, their weapons dying. Sarah gripped the terminal. Your pain, it disrupts their tech. Their minds. Ethan's stomach churned. So I'm a weapon. A weapon they fear, Maria said. Why else would they beg for an alliance? Zinker interrupted. The stars align, Ethan Cole. Join us, or your people perish. Ethan looked at Maria, then Sarah. Both waited, silent. Finally, he sighed. What's the catch? You will suffer. The power requires sacrifice. Ethan's hand tightened on his rifle. Suffering's nothing new. As the Vryn sent coordinates for a rendezvous, Maria pulled him aside. This could be suicide. Or our only shot, he said. Either way, I'm done hiding. The Vryn warship smelled of burnt copper and machine oil. Ethan limped through its labyrinthine halls, flanked by Maria and Sarah. Zinker led them to a chamber filled with floating holograms, maps of stars, ancient texts, and a single glowing symbol. A helix wrapped in chains. The child of the stars, Zinker intoned. A genetic echo from a war older than your species. Sarah stepped forward, studying the holograms. This isn't possible. These records are millennia old. Ethan frowned. What are you talking about? Zinkar's claws traced the helix. Long ago, your ancestors fought the Vryn Empire. They created a weapon, a human engineer to disrupt our hive mind. But the weapon was lost. Buried. Until you. Maria crossed her arms. You're saying Ethan's some kind of lab experiment? No, a legacy. Your DNA carries the sleeper gene, dormant until activated by trauma. Your leg fracture cracked the code. Ethan's stomach churned. So my pain, the signal, it's meant to destroy you. Zinkar's spines twitched. Not destroy. Free, the hive mind binds us. Your frequency unravels it. You are the key to our evolution or extinction. Sarah's eyes narrowed. If this is true, why help us? Why not kill him? Because the gene is unstable. Without training, it will consume him. And if he dies, the signal dies. We need him alive. Ethan's leg throbbed. He leaned against a wall, sweat beading his forehead. Memories flashed. Layla's lab, her frantic whispers about human potential. Had she known? Zinker gestured to a terminal. Witness. A hologram played. A Vryn world, cities crumbling as a human figure walked unharmed through chaos. The figure raised a hand, and the Vryn fell, clutching their heads. "Your ancestor," Zincare said. "The first child of the stars. He shattered empires. We hunted his bloodline to extinction, until now." Maria stepped between Ethan and the hologram. "You expect us to believe this. Believe what you see." Zincare activated a console. The ship shuddered. Below in the colony, Vryn soldiers began convulsing, their weapons failing. Ethan gasped. His leg burned. The pain wasn't just pain, it was a language. Zincare leaned closer. "The gene responds to agony. The more you suffer, the stronger the signal. But there is a cost." Ethan met his gaze. "What cost?" The alien's voice dropped. "The gene feeds on life. Yours and others." The Vryn training chamber hummed with energy. Ethan stood in the center, his legs still bandaged, sweat dripping down his face. Zincare circled him, holding a rod that emitted a low-frequency pulse. "Focus," the alien growled. "The pain is the key. Let it flow." Ethan clenched his fists. Memories of the ambush flooded back, the searing pain, the Vryn freezing. He closed his eyes and reached. Nothing. Zincare jabbed the rod into Ethan's injured leg. Agony exploded. Ethan screamed, and the chamber's lights shattered. Alarms blared. Sarah rushed in, scanning him. "His vitals are spiking. Stop this." "He must learn control," Zincare snapped, "or the gene will destroy him." Maria pulled Sarah back. "Let him try." Ethan panted, gripping a console for support. A hologram flickered, a memory of Leela in her lab, holding a vial of glowing liquid. "It's in the DNA, Ethan," she'd said. "We're more than we seem." Zincare paused. "Your sister studied the gene. She knew the cost." Ethan's chest tightened. What cost? "The gene feeds on life. To activate it, you must harvest pain. From yourself, from others." Ethan recoiled. "I won't hurt innocent people." "Then die, or watch your colony burn." That night, Ethan lay awake, haunted. Sarah approached, holding a syringe. "It's a stimulant," she said. "Might dull the pain." He shook his head. "Pain's the only thing that works." She hesitated. "Your sister, she believed in this. In you. Don't let her down." The next day, Zincare took them to a captured Vryn warship. Dozens of soldiers stood rigid, linked to the hive mind. "Test your power," Zincare ordered. Ethan stepped forward. He focused on his leg, on Leela's voice, on the colony's screams. The ship's engines whined. The Vryn soldiers gasped, clutching their heads. One by one, they collapsed. But Ethan kept going. The pain spread into his chest, his mind. He felt their pain, the Vryn's fear. It flooded him, raw and suffocating. The ship shuddered. Alarm screamed. Maria tackled him. "Enough. You're killing yourself." Ethan collapsed, trembling. The ship's systems had shut down. The Vryn lay motionless. Zincare stared, his spines quivering. You severed the hive mind. Not just disrupted it. Destroyed it." Ethan coughed, blood on his lips. What does that mean?" The alien's voice was grim. "It means the war is no longer about New Haven. It's about survival." The captured Vryn warship reeked of burnt circuitry and fear. Ethan leaned against a console, his leg trembling. Maria stood guard, while Sarah monitored his vitals. "Your heart rate's unstable," Sarah said. "You can't keep doing this." Ethan wiped blood from his lip. "Got a better plan." Before she could answer, the ship lurched. Alarms blared. Zincare stormed in, his spines bristling. "Traitors. Loyalists have seized the bridge." Ethan grabbed a rifle. "What do they want?" You dead. They moved through the corridors, Vryn soldiers firing from both sides. Maria took cover, shouting, "This is a civil war. They're fighting each other." Zinkar roared orders in his native tongue. His troops held the line, but the loyalists pushed closer. A plasma bolt grazed Ethan's arm. He stumbled, and the ship's lights dimmed. "Ethan, no," Zinkar barked. "Control it." But the pain was too much. Memories of Leela's death flooded him. The gene hungered. The ship's engines died. Both factions collapsed, screaming in psychic agony. Maria and Zinkar froze, clutching their heads. Ethan gasped. The pain wasn't just his anymore. He felt the Vryn, their rage, their fear, their fractured loyalty. It wasn't destruction. It was connection. "Stop," he shouted, though no one heard. He focused on the pain, not to amplify it, but to redirect. The chaos ceased. Soldiers on both sides dropped their weapons, trembling. Maria stared at him. "What did you do?" Ethan's voice shook. I showed them each other's pain. They felt what they've done." Zinkar rose slowly, his spine flat. "You didn't just break the hive mind. You rewired it." A loyalist soldier lunged at Ethan, a blade in hand. Before anyone could react, the Vryn troops turned on their own. Sarah pulled Ethan back. "They're purging the loyalists." "How?" "The child of the stars does not destroy," Zinkar said. "He unites." Ethan collapsed against a wall. His vision blurred. "I can't keep doing this." Maria knelt beside him. "Then let us help. Use our pain." He shook his head. "It's not enough. I need more." Zinkar's eyes glowed. "The core, New Haven's core, can amplify the signal." Sarah stiffened. "That's suicide. The core's unstable." Ethan forced a grin. Better than letting the galaxy burn. The core chamber was a cathedral of glowing plasma. Rivers of energy snaked through the walls, casting Ethan's face in sickly blue light. His leg throbbed with every step. Maria and Sarah flanked him, rifles ready. Zinkar brought up the rear, his spines twitching. "The core is unstable," the alien warned. "One wrong move, and New Haven becomes a crater." Ethan limped toward the central platform. "Then let's not screw up." Sarah scanned the chamber. "Radiation levels are spiking. We need to hurry." As they advanced, the ground shook. Vryn loyalists emerged from the shadows, soldiers determined to stop the prophecy. Maria opened fire, shouting, "Ethan, go. We'll hold them." Ethan reached the platform. The core pulsed like a heartbeat. He placed a hand on the railing and screamed. The energy burned, searing his palm. But it connected. The core wasn't just power. It was alive. "Now," Zinkar barked. Ethan closed his eyes. He focused on the pain. His leg, his palm, the core's raw energy. It flooded him, a tsunami of light and sound. The chamber shook. Sarah yelled something, but he couldn't hear. The loyalists froze. Their weapons died. The core's glow intensified, swallowing the room. Ethan's mind expanded. He saw New Haven, not just the colony, but every soul in it. He saw the Vryn fleet, their hive mind fractured. He saw stars, countless worlds bound by chains of fear. And he pushed. The core erupted. A shockwave of golden light blasted outward. Maria and Sarah were thrown back. Zinkar roared, shielding his face. Ethan didn't fall. He stood, arms outstretched, as the light consumed him. The pain was unbearable, but it wasn't his anymore. It was theirs. Every Vryn, every human, every being in the galaxy felt it. "You are not alone," he whispered. The core dimmed. Ethan collapsed, his body smoking. Sarah rushed to him, tears in her eyes. His heart's failing. Zincare knelt, his voice trembling. It's done. The signal, it's everywhere. Maria dragged a loyalist officer into the light. The alien's eyes widened. The hive mind, it's gone. We're free? Ethan coughed, blood on his lips. Not free. Connected. The chamber rumbled. Cracks spread across the walls. Sarah gripped his hand. We need to go. Now. Ethan tried to stand, but his leg gave way. Zincare lifted him. I will carry him. As they fled, the coarse glow faded. Behind them, New Haven's skies cleared, the Vryn fleet retreating, their war machines dormant. But Ethan's breathing was shallow. His skin glowed faintly, like a dying star. Ethan's breath came in shallow gasps. Zincare carried him through the collapsing tunnels, Maria and Sarah firing at loyalists, still brave enough to chase them. The core's energy had quieted, but the colony itself was falling apart. Walls cracking, plasma vents exploding. We're not gonna make it, Maria panted. Yes, we are, Ethan whispered. His voice was weak, but his eyes burned with resolve. Keep moving. Sarah glanced back. The core chamber glowed like a dying sun. Ethan, the signal, it's spreading. The Vryn are abandoning their ships. Zincare growled. The hive mind is shattered. They are free, but the core will detonate soon. We must. Ethan grabbed Zincar's arm. No, not yet. Maria stopped. What are you talking about? The core's energy, it's not just a weapon, Ethan said. It's a message. If I can amplify it one last time. Sarah's eyes widened. You'll die? Ethan managed a weak smile. Leela once told me, we're more than we seem. Maybe this is what she meant. Zincare hesitated. Then with a roar, he shifted Ethan onto his back and sprinted toward the docking bay. There's a ship. Small. Fast. Maria cursed. You're insane. The core's unstable. Exactly, Ethan said. Minutes later, the stolen Vryn fighter screamed toward the core. Ethan sat in the cockpit, his hands trembling on the controls. Maria and Sarah watched from the bunker, tears streaming down their faces. Ethan, daunt. Sarah's voice crackled over the comms. Tell Leela's ghost I'm sorry, he whispered. The ship plunged into the core's heart. Light erupted. Across the galaxy, Vryn soldiers froze. Queens, warlords, generals, their minds snapped awake, severed from the hive. They saw their wars, their slaves, their fear. And they saw Ethan's final words, broadcast through every star. You are not alone. In the bunker, Maria hugged Sarah as the core's explosion lit the sky. Zincare stood silent, his spines drooping. He's gone, Sarah choked. Maria shook her head. No, he's everywhere. The explosion tore through New Haven's core, swallowing the colony in a blinding flash of gold. When the light faded, the Vryn fleet was gone, scattered, their hive mind severed. The sky cleared, revealing stars that now felt closer. Maria stood at the edge of the ruins, her rifle hanging useless at her side. Sarah sat nearby, staring at a hologram of Ethan's last transmission. You are not alone. Zincare approached, his spines dull and limp. The signal, it's in every Vryn now. They remember. They choose. Maria turned. And Ethan. The alien's voice was gravel. Gone, but his pain lies. It always will. Weeks later, the survivors rebuilt. A statue rose in the colony square. Ethan, mid-stride, a rifle in one hand and a broken crutch in the other. Sarah placed a wreath at its base. He'd hate the attention, she muttered. Maria smirked. he'd hate the crutch more. But their laughter faded quickly. New Haven wasn't just healing, it was changing. Vryn defectors arrived daily, seeking refuge. Some brought stories of warlords dismantling armies, of slaves rising up, of a galaxy waking from a nightmare. Zincare stayed. He worked alongside the humans, his spine slowly brightening. The child of the stars showed us who we could be, he told Maria one night. Now we rebuild, together. In a hidden Vryn lab, a stasis pod hissed open. Inside, a clone stirred, a perfect copy of Ethan, his DNA glowing faintly. A hologram flickered. Layla Cole's notes, her voice whispering, "The gene can't die. It's too important." The clone's eyes snapped open. Epilogue. The stars burned brighter now. On 100 worlds, Vryn and humans met, tentatively, angrily, hopefully. They argued. They fought. They built. And somewhere in the dark between galaxies, a signal hummed. A song of pain. A song of connection. A song that would never end.